Got the first layer melted in the bottom, just putting a little bit more in, and then we're gonna, I guess, flux after it finishes melting and pour some ingots. Howdy folks, and happy 4th of July. Today I'm gonna do, man, I haven't been able to get out and shoot and do anything fun like that. Been working a bunch, just working. So today I'm gonna do work, but it's gonna be fun work. And I have all this scrap lead that I need to melt down. It's been sitting in my garage, and here we have stained glass window scrap, more stained glass window scrap, more stained glass window scrap. I have another bucket I need to get. So I have the day off, I'm gonna just go ahead and work at that. Now for today, I am going to be testing a different setup than my normal setup. Normally I use a Harbor Freight weed burner torch, which really kicks out the BTUs, and it's really powerful and generates lots of heat. And I usually use that with a stacked shelf, and I have a big old Dutch oven that I use for my lead pot, and I use cinder blocks for the stacked shelf for the Dutch oven. But for today's video, I'm going to be using this Gas One high pressure propane burner that's usually used for frying turkeys. This little casting bench I made a while ago, and that's going to be the support for a new turkey fryer that I bought. And it's supposed to be a 200 BTU burner, single burner stove. And we will see if it is up to the task to do this lead melting. I've got stained glass window scrap. I've got some soft lead blocks from a counterbalance weight. And a quick shout out and thank you to Marvin from the Ozark Spirit channel for helping me cut that counterbalance weight into manageable chunks weighing around 65 pounds each a while back. And I don't know if I'll get to it. That's a lot of lead to melt and, you know, clean flux ingotize. But I also have some printing press lead that's still in the scrap form. So let's see what I can get done today. And, you know, still got to spend time with the family. But I've been itching to do something related to casting and reloading. So here we go. Hope you enjoy. Alrighty guys. Sorry about that long intro, but let's dive into things. When I'm setting up my workspace for converting scrap into ingots, I usually use one of my trusty folding tables for dropping the ingots onto. Because of the unlevel ground, I have to put boards under the legs on one side of the table to level it out. Now, if you were to drop hot ingots directly on the table, they'd probably melt right through it. So I always make sure to cover the table with some wood, which insulates it from the hot ingots. Tool-wise, it doesn't take too many tools to get the job done when you're converting scrap into ingots. I like using a cheap set of stainless steel cooking utensils, which consist of some spoons, slotted spoons, etc. Another tool you'll need for making ingots is ingot molds. Of course, ingot molds. I have a collection of ingot molds ranging from an old Lyman cast iron ingot mold, a cast iron sausage cooker from Amazon, some cheap Lee ingot molds that the handles always seem to come off of, and some nicer NOE ingot molds, which are machined from billet aluminum that come in 1, 2, and 4 pound sizes, and have some handy markings so you can mark what type of alloy the ingot is made of. I also like to use a coffee can sized tin can for dross and a bucket of sawdust for flux. All this stuff, stained glass window scrap, is super soft and flexible. I decided to start with the stained glass window scrap, so I fill up the Dutch oven, then I put the lid on to help trap the heat. Then I crank up the heat on the stove and wait for it to melt. I put on my safety equipment, which includes some insulated leather gloves, some safety glasses, and when it gets real smoky, I use a respirator. The burning window sealants and glues can sometimes ignite when you lift the lid and provide oxygen, so you gotta be careful not to singe off all your hair. The smoke that you see coming off the pot is caused by all the burning impurities and junk like the glues and sealants and other non-lead extras. If you want the smoke to stop, all you gotta do is skim off all that burning crap. With the stained glass window scrap, I usually find bits of glass, nails, sealants, and other random things. As the lead melts, and as you stir it, the lead goes to the bottom, and the unwanted junk floats to the top like the glass and nails. You can use the slotted spoons and the other utensils to skim off the junk and throw it into the dross bucket. I keep adding lead, melting it, and skimming until the Dutch oven is about 2/3 full or so. Then it's time to flux. For flux, I use regular old sawdust, nothing special about it. I add a few scoops of it to the pot. I sometimes also use wax when it's really dirty, and stir it around while scraping the sides and bottom of the Dutch oven. The flux helps to clean the lead, keep it from oxidizing, and help get the alloyed metals back into the mix, like the tin. Super shiny. Now it's time to pour some lead and make some ingots, so I turn the heat down a little. For pouring the lead, I use the ladle, which holds a little over 2 pounds per scoop. I usually have to swish it around a few times to heat up the ladle so the lead doesn't freeze and stick to it. As I pour the lead into the molds, you might notice that I end up spilling a little as I move the ladle from the Dutch oven down to the ingot molds. To prevent a mess, I put the molds close together, and that seems to help. One thing that I noticed while using the setup was that the pot was significantly higher than the molds below. Because of this, I had to be a little more careful when pouring the ingots, plus I had to bend over quite a bit, making the ingots, which isn't normally too bad, but when you're doing it for hours at a time, your back can get a little sore. Next time I make ingots with this setup, I'll probably try and figure out a way to raise up my ingot molds to be somewhat closer to level with the Dutch oven. Should be easier on the back as well as reduce the spillage. Here is a closer view of pouring the lead and making the ingots. There's always something cool about working with metal. Even though it is a super soft metal, I really enjoy taking the dirty scrap lead and melting it down, cleaning it, and converting it into these nice shiny new lead ingots to use in the future. I keep pouring the lead from the pot and making the ingots until the pot's almost empty. I like to leave a little melted lead left at the bottom of the pot because it seems to speed up the melting process for the next batch. I ended up working on these ingots for a while, more than a couple hours for sure. I was able to process all 4 buckets of stained glass window scrap before moving on to the large blocks of pure lead from that counterbalance weight that Marvin and I had cut up into smaller 65-pound blocks. Those pure lead blocks required quite a bit more heat than the stained glass window scrap to melt down and process, but I was able to process 2 of the 3 65-pound blocks and get them converted into ingots before it was time to pack up, clean up, and start the 4th of July celebrations. I was not able to get to the printing press scrap lead, so I guess that'll be a job for a different day. Alright, so we got 168 pounds of the stained glass window scrap, and we have 122 pounds of the pure lead, which is from the counterbalance weights, which totals up to be about 290 pounds. That's pretty awesome. Just wanted to throw in a quick side note. I wanted to mention how lucky we are to live in this wonderful country where we have so many freedoms and blessings. Despite the imperfections that we might have here, our nation is still a land of liberty and freedom, and a place so great that even the people who hate it and want to destroy it won't leave it. Take care, guys, and stay safe, and hope you had a wonderful 4th of July.